creative ideas, far more innovation, far more, it opens up a whole world of creative possibility by doing that. Notwithstanding, as you had mentioned earlier, when we practice what's called coherence, and coherence is actually when, I'm gonna read the quote here. So coherence is an optimal state in which the heart, the mind, and the emotions are all aligned and in sync. And what happens is the heart actually brings everything else into its rhythm. And then from a physiological perspective, the immune system, the hormonal system, and the nervous system function in a state of energetic coherence. So when you are in a state of coherence, and they've measured this scientifically, you boost your immune system by 50%. That's 50. So you can imagine if you're practicing coherence every day.
Yeah. Wow.
Pardon?
That's hugely dramatic, 50%.
Oh, wait, no, it gets better, because if you add coherence creating music, like you add a little bit of music to your practice, when you're practicing coherence, it's 150% boost, 150. So think about that. If you're practicing coherence, I don't get out of bed without practicing coherence, my practice for 15 minutes, and I practice it throughout the day. I use it when I move from one task to another. It just brings you back into slowing down, right? We know that breath. So most people breathe three breaths in, 3 breaths out, very, very shallow. As soon as you move beyond 3 breaths in and 3 breaths out to 4 or 5, so deeper and slower than normal, as soon as you do that, the number one thing that happens frequently and consistently is a drop in blood pressure. It immediately slows everything down internally. So when you're visiting that state of being frequently throughout your day, you raise your set point. This is your resilience. You start to be very, very resilient. And when you practice long enough, it gets to the point where it doesn't matter what happens out there. You are so good and balanced on the inside. You could have a tornado and it's like, okay, I guess this is happening. And then just very calmly deal with what you need to do to sort of remove yourself from this. I have not been near a volcano or what have you. I'm using that as a metaphor,
yeah.
right?
Wow. No, that's a perfect example. Yeah. Of a heal. Yeah. And I mean, that's when the central nervous system's not running off of fight or flight or trauma.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's actually the autonomic nervous system is hardwired to the brain and to the heart. And when you're in a state of coherence, the heart actually sends more information to the brain than the brain does all the time. That's actually, it's now proven. So the heart sends more information. And when you calm the autonomic nervous system, and this moves to emotions. So if you have a lot of emotions that are anger, fear, worry, resentment, bitterness, anxiety, sadness, all of those spark the hormonal system to dump cortisol into your body, which can deplete your immune system to up to 12 hours. On the opposite side of the spectrum, when you're, can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I guess the video's had a moment there, it's gone off. When on the opposite side of the spectrum, if you are experiencing emotions such as gratitude, love, joy, compassion, kindness, forgiveness, your body releases something called DHEA, and that boosts your immune system and puts your whole internal state of being into a place of calm, peace. And how it's displayed with your heart rhythms is if you are in coherence, you have beautiful round sine waves. But if you have lots of emotions that are on the depleting side or negative side, like anger, your heart rhythms look like an earthquake. And you can imagine the toll that takes not only on your physical well-being, but also on your mental well-being if you're constantly being bombarded by negative thoughts or, beating yourself up.
Oh, yeah,
so to speak.
People get in. And I swear I could just keep talking to you and asking questions. But before I ask a little bit more about the work you're currently doing, what sort of dramatic things have you seen? Because, if somebody's getting more heart-centered and they're really starting to heal, they might be like, what am I doing in my job or my relationship, or, you know, all of a sudden, like something huge might happen with a health issue that might have been chronic. I mean, can you tell us a little bit about what you've seen or the kind of dramatic results that can come from this?
Well, I can tell you that one of the significant things is synchronicity. The more you work with the intelligence of the heart and with source, the synchronicities are incredible. It's like, it's almost like so we know that with every heartbeat, from beat to beat, a spark of electricity is created. And this is powered within itself. The heart does this within itself. A spark of electricity is created, and then by default, the magnetic field is created. And that's how we have this electromagnetic energy field that is around us. Said another way, it's almost like we have our own transistor radio, and we're constantly broadcasting how we feel, what we believe out into the world. Well, when you shift your attention into the heart, and you open the heart, you start working with the intelligence of the heart, you are now broadcasting that out. And we're magnetic beings. So you magnetize and call things to you that are incredible. Meetings with people that happen to know people, that have influence. It's crazy. It's amazing. It's like you don't have to slog it through the muck anymore when you start to operate at that higher vibe or expanded consciousness, because you're working with the heart.
Yes.
It changes everything. Because this is the heart. They say that the heart is the connection. Well, what do they say? They say the heart is actually the connection to source. The heartbeat, the heart song, the song of the heart is that it's the music of the universe. And when you connect to that, obviously, the universe rearranges everything to support you in your own growth and learning. I still get challenged, but I'm aware of it now, right? Like, so if I'm being irritated by something, I'm asking myself, this is really interesting. Why is this person ticking me off or pissing me off? I must have that inside of me. Otherwise, I wouldn't even notice it. So you become a lot more aware of how you respond, how you behave, how you interact with other people, and you find that how you relate to the external world is very different. Simple example, I never experience road rage. I never experience any problem on the highway. People let me in, like it's something very simple as that. Don't experience angry people, like really angry or whatnot, right? And if I do, I witness them and I bless them. I certainly don't damn them. I don't condemn them. Yes. Because every single person has the right to be just as they are. And the only reason why we get annoyed with each other is because you're not being the way I want you to be, or you're not doing what I want you to do.
And we see
and how they have the right.
What?
I was just going to say they have the right to be just as they are, high and low and in between. And it doesn't matter how much you don't like their behavior. It's really none of our business, because their experience is between them, their soul, their growth. And the fact that we are aware of it, or we can see it, we have to be in agreement to it. We're in accord, A-C-C-O-R-D or A-C-H-O-R-D. We are in accord. We are in resonance with their vibration, and that's the opportunity. What is this teaching me? What about this situation can I learn from? And then your world changes. You're no longer in resistance and fighting, because of course, as you know, Laura, right? What we resist, what we push against, pushes back harder.
Yeah, and I think this is such an expression of self-love too. I mean, you can't raise a healthy kid through control and abuse. There has to be love and nurturing, who they truly are as an authentic being, and supporting that,
exactly.
Guiding that. And so everything that you're saying just really just lights that up. It's and why we can't relate to each other on that level, to bring out the best in one another, understanding that there are human errors that we make. The thing is, I feel like we make worse criminals the harder we are on each other than the opposite.
Well, yeah, you're right, because number one, we're operating from the ego, the small self, and that's the one that wants to judge and make everybody wrong. She's the one, or he's the one that wants to be right. That's the first thing. The second thing we've done is we've made the sin the sinner, or rather we've made the sinner the sin. So someone makes a choice, whatever it is, on whatever spectrum of criminology you want to use as an example, but we've made the individual the sin, and that's not accurate. It's a choice they made. And I'm going to go back to like, forgive us our trespasses. So what that basically means is forgive my F-ups as I'm going to forgive you for where you F-up too. That's basically what forgive us our trespasses is. I'm going to screw up. Please
messages there. Yeah. I mean, how does your family react now? I mean, I mean, it's very obvious. Anybody, would be able to see it and feel it from your aura, from your presence, your incredible light and your incredible heart. Have they kind of turned around and just been like, what?
Well, we went through a period where they didn't like me very much, for sure. And now my mom is like, well, you've come a long way. She's really sweet. She's 82 now, almost 82. You've come a long way. One sibling, we really haven't had a relationship. Like even when we were teenagers, we used to fight. We still really don't have much of a relationship. And they don't think I'm as weird now, but I certainly can't have these kinds of conversations with them. They're not terribly interested. But yeah, they don't dislike me. I'm not. I haven't been kicked out of the family or anything.
Right.
My partner's side, though, yeah, I would say they still think I'm way out there and weird, and I'm annoying to one of them because I am not against Mr. Trump. I'm open for change, and I support change, and I support truth, however that shows up. So, and anyway, politics and religion are. We really need to get to the. What's that?
No, it's a really tough one. Those projections that most Trump supporters I know aren't political. They're seeing a much, much larger picture. If they were political, they might not like him, right? There's an ability. Yeah. I mean, you got
to be able to see at a higher level what he's trying to do there. And when you know, as I say, when you can see what's happening on this dimensional reality, and you lift and see, as I would say, you contemplate from Christ mind, then there's something much, much bigger at play here, which is perfect. It's being perfectly orchestrated. Like I said, the divine operates through the most interesting places, and he's perfect for that role. The guy, he's the poster boy for resilience, thick-skinned. He's had an entire business career of, being attacked by media and other business entities and whatnot, right? So he's perfect for the job at hand. You might not like him, and that's fine. We're none of us are perfect, but we really need to get to the point get back to the point where you can have a different opinion and still be respectful. You can still have a conversation with someone and disagree, and you can still be respectful. It doesn't mean you have to. It's almost like you go back to caveman days. You want to club somebody over the head because they don't agree with you. It's ridiculous.
That's where somebody is really missing the point, because that is the biggest indicator of being stuck in the old paradigm, because we need to really go with what is working and be able to see that larger picture. So it's really cool, because you obviously think from the heart, and you use things that, how does this work? It's a technology. Kind of help people understand.
Right. Yeah. So HeartMath, it's education. The training takes you through. We go through mindfulness. We teach you what coherence is. We teach what resilience is.
I don't want you to have to repeat if that was.
Yeah, and the science. No, we teach the science behind it. So
there's some finger thing, though? It picks up on pulses, or no? Or the bio?
Oh no, no. So what the technology? So there's technology, and what it does is it picks up the heart rhythms. It's called heart rate variability. It's not the heartbeat. So you've got your heartbeat, and they used to think that the heartbeat had to be consistent, right? Like with what I'm using this as an example. 1 second in between every heartbeat needs to be consistent. That is not true. You want heart rate variability, so it could be.
Oh, good. Then I don't have to stress about my heart palpitations. Yeah. No.
Well, that could be many things, right?
No, I know. I'm just kind of joking, but I never really. I'm vibing with what you're saying, though. So keep going.
Basically. So heart rate variability, it's the amount of time in between each heartbeat, and the autonomic nervous system responds to the heartbeat,
like
from beat to beat.
Uh-huh.
So you can make a change in a heartbeat. So the program teaches people consciously how their body responds to what they're thinking, how they're feeling, mostly a lot about energy, a lot about emotions, and how your energetic field can influence those around you, and how if you are in a good high state of coherence, you can pull other people into your calm. And the other thing I want to share about that I heard that I thought was really, really cool. One person, just one individual that is connected to their source is more powerful than 1 million people in fear. One person.
That's huge.
Yeah, huge. So the work that anybody that's listening that have that connection, they can help support 1 million people energetically, etherically, using that incredible imagination of ours. Because I think that's where we're going to start moving, is starting to do a lot more work energetically, where we don't have to take all this action. It's done in other brilliant, higher mind ways.
Like the huge portions of ourselves we don't learn about, like the rest of our brain, the rest of our DNA. That lit up so quick. I jumped in too quick, but yeah.
Yeah, no, but you're right. The brain will only use 8%. Well, actually, we're using 100% of the brain to convince us that we're separate and that we're just this physical body down here. And right, we're using all of the brain to convince us that we don't know anything, to get to that,
talk us out of the heart.
The 8%. And then just to talk about the DNA again, when you make the conscious intention, I want to connect, I want to have a relationship with Creator, and I want to start to learn and grow, your DNA starts to uncoil and unwind, and that also helps to attract what you need to your experience to realize who you truly are. So it affects both the DNA and the brain.
Wow. And yeah, other levels instead of that smaller version. This
Tech, this physical vessel that we have is the most advanced technology than any artificial intelligence they could ever create. This is God's tech, or source's tech, or whatever.
Right? Oh God. Yeah. Say that again loud. Oh, sorry. No, I'm just saying, God, I will like edit it in like huge words. It's like the most important thing for us all to remember. So
there's nothing more powerful than source. Nothing. No thing. Nothing. Yeah.
Are we really at the mercy of everything coming at us? I mean, we're powerful co-creators, right? So.
Well, we're not at the mercy. If this is the paradigm shift that we need the collective to get to. The majority of the collective is having all this stuff pushed at them, and then they're in reaction mode. Whereas when you lift yourself up in consciousness, you heal your hurts, you repair your connection to source, you start to create and project using this beautiful mind that you've got in your imagination. You project that out into the future as to what you create. You don't attach anything to it. You have no idea how it's going to manifest. You leave that up to source, and then that gets manifested and created for you, because we have to think the thought that does not have the manifestation. Said another way, what we are experiencing right now in physical form is a result of past thought. So if you want to have a new manifestation, something that you've never experienced before, you have to think a completely new thought that has never been thought before. And you don't attach how it's supposed to show up. You do it in joy for the love of it. And then you like a bird, you let it free. And it'll show up and come back to you when it's perfect for you, in perfect ways.
Yes. That seems like the organic way to be. Do you feel like
totally.
The other stuff is the AI manipulation that catches us in a web, and then we're just generating and creating fears or past traumas, future things that we give our power away to, or what?
There's a couple of things there, right? There's number one.
I literally have to stop myself at some point though, because I could literally talk to you for hours. But anyway, yeah, if you could answer that.
Well, we could always chat again for sure. So there's a couple of things that are happening there. Number one, if people don't understand that their thoughts control their emotions, and that is one way that AI or mind control can capture you or take you. That's one way. If you don't know your own thoughts and your own emotions, and you're out, that's out of control for you. Number one. Number two, the purpose of fear is to create more fear. It has no power if you don't even look at it. If you ignore it, not as in delusional ignoring that there's a tiger chasing me and I'm going to ignore it. I'm not talking about that. But if you don't give it your focus, your attention, it loses its power, because its whole purpose is to recreate itself. So if you could remember that fear is a liar, and to get your own emotions in check, because that is how I think that they might, you know, the image that they're giving me right now is kind of like, that's how they see you in the darkness, is as like a glow of fear. And that's how they can capture you with respect to AI and mind control. So again, consciousness is king. As soon as you get a control of your own emotions, because think about it, if you've got somebody enraged that is angry and out of control, that's a lot, that's like a signature in itself, right? Like I see that in the field as like a red fire, not like passion. I see passion as a different color, but does that make sense? Did I answer that? Fear is a liar. Yep. Fear is the whole only purpose is to recreate itself. And then people have to deal with their emotions. They have to heal their hurts and go through their whole life, be able to do a life review and not be triggered over any experience that they went through. They've got to, that's the big tip, the big trick.
Yeah. And like it just seems to, like, as a virus, like replicate, like change, and sometimes get worse depending on the situation and the people involved. You know, you gotta get control. That happened in the past, it could, you know, turn into a nightmare 10 years later. What was that?
Well, yeah, because you'll recreate it. That's the thing, right? Like you'll
have a conscious mind that gets out of control if it doesn't have the higher mind to just give it love and wisdom.
Well, that's because when you operate from the higher mind, you actively and consciously respond rather than react. And you ask, okay, what is the highest thought that how could I respond to the situation? That's part of the process when you start to become very aware, present moment awareness, very aware, very mindful of what you're thinking, how you're behaving, how you're responding, and noticing when you're being irritated or angered or whatnot. It's like, okay, why, right? So this is a really good one. This is not my note, but with respect to anger, this was from Guy Findlay that I read years ago. And he said, the only thing that ever troubles you about another is what you want from them. So think about that. The only time you get angry is because you're not getting what you want. So if anybody that's listening has an experience where they are PO'd, ask, okay, why am I angry? Well, he, she, they didn't do, you're not getting what you want. And then the question is, go ahead.
No, you go. Yes.
I was going to say, and then the question is, okay, why am I angry? Well, I'm not getting what I want. All right, well, can I get because that person might not be capable of giving you what you want. Right. And then can you accept it? Can you accept, all right, I'm not going to get what I want.
And also like revisiting agreements, right? If there are any place.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's important too.
And because, well, I mean, you did that. I mean, everything that we're kind of coming to a close about, I mean, you've done in your own world, and this is the kind of world we're in right now, and this is what it requires. You know?
Yes, exactly. People need to, if you draw 4 circles, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, we need to work on every aspect of the human being, and think of it in terms of, most people just work on they view the physical as a project, right? I got to work out, get strong, get physically in shape, look good. It's all a physical whatever, but they neglect the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual aspect. And when I talk about the spiritual, this is the stuff, in its simplest term, this is the stuff that makes your heart sing, that brings you so much joy, you lose yourself doing it. And that's the only place where you can actually create, is in the present moment when you are in joy. You have no idea what's going to happen after you do it, but you just do what you're doing because it's fun and you love it. and it makes you sing. But people forget those other aspects.
Right there. That's how you bust down ancestral patterns and take those voices away from authority, you know, like you experience, like I experienced, like many of us, experienced in different ways. And, that, oh, that's a lie, or that's fantasy. That you can't create that. You can't manifest that. All these things, taking the kind of journey that you have is being determined to not exist beneath those limitations that are the artificial, because outside of the artificial, there's alchemy and transformation. And that's what you're reminding us of and bringing us back to,
Yeah. And where we are moving now, because we're in this time of uncertainty, where we are moving is that the path before us is only presented when you take that step, and it's step by step. It's all now beyond the known. It's all beyond the known. This is all brand new ideas, because God knows, Laura, we need new ideas. And all a miracle is an idea made manifest that we've never seen or heard before. That's all a miracle is. And I feel that we're, like you've got a couple of different camps happening on the planet right now, right? You've got a bunch of folks that have done their work. I mean, like for me, I'm excited about what's happening. In terms of, I know what's happening, that we're moving through a shift. I've been working with guides for almost a decade to prepare me for the shift in consciousness and what it's, how that's going. I have no idea how it's going to play out, but I have the knowing that it'll be perfect, and I'll know in the moment when I'm there. And that's what everybody kind of gets a little bit comfortable with, because we like the known, right? We would prefer the known, even if it's painful, rather than the unknown.
Yeah.
But think about it. Why on earth would the universe want it? Like you can't learn in an environment that's worse than learning based through fear, or living in an environment that's riddled in fear. And all of us were born into this planet with the frequency and the energy of fear. So imagine there is no fear. Oh my goodness. How liberating does that feel if you're not afraid?
Yeah. Well, it's the mastery of fear, and why like extreme sport people can like do those hairpin turns on a mountain bike, and people like are like, how the hell? It's just,
well, I think it goes back to, if people are afraid of death, they're afraid of life. Right? Yeah. Like if you knew, like you knew, you drop the body, you go back, have a visit, you come back, you come and you go, and you come and you go. We would live like fully, right? We might want to try that skydiving or whatever those adrenaline rushes are. But because most people are afraid of death, they're afraid to live freely and fully. So we really need to come to terms with that whole idea too. What's interesting about that, Laura, is 95% of people, of the population, believe in an afterlife, but only 5% believe in a before life. Like they believe when they die, that's when they'll go to heaven and they'll be in spirit and they'll see the angels and all that. And then what they've done, essentially, the claim of separation is, well, I'm in physical form, so none of that stuff exists and I can't have access to it, which is very inaccurate. You have to ask for it, and you have to claim it, because you get what you claim. If you say you're a loser and that you'll never meet anybody, that's what you're claiming. And if you say that you're unlimited and you have untapped potential, then you will receive exactly what you expect, as long as you agree to two things: one, that it's available, and two, that you can have it. And then you can manifest anything.
Yeah.
But we always have to ask, who is asking, right? Like if you want the big house on the hill so that everybody's envious of your mansion, well, maybe that's not in your best interest and you're not going to get it. But if you want that house on the hill because it's absolutely beautiful and it's the most incredible sunset and nature is just incredible, that's a completely different reason for desiring that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the power of the mind when it's integrated, with the heart, and it doesn't run separate.
Yeah.
Is
that's where the
powerful
magic
thing,
is, for sure.
is what I'm getting, and that you're taking us into the superpowers. You know, we're sort of not given the kind of education that could really, and this is what's great about the new, like, I don't want to say the word new because it's ancient in a lot of ways too, but even though things are seeming to be dark on the planet, you know, these sort of things are getting, you know, more out there. I mean, how can people work with you? Is this something you do like mostly in person, or do you do this over the phone, or what?
No, people can work with me via Zoom or on the phone. So yeah, I can teach all of those modalities remotely via, as I say, Zoom or a cell call. They can work with me that way. And I do have people that come into my studio, my space that I have here, obviously right now, because we're practicing this social distancing thing, you know, no touching, no standing close together. Don't stand so close to me.
That reminds me of what I was going to say earlier when you were talking about that. I was like, it's so funny how it follows the Me Too movement. It like forces, you know, the boundaries, right? But then it's like, it also, if you're not, if we're, it's difficult for some people, but maybe appropriate for others. That, but are they even following that is the thing. There seems to be, yeah. So, okay. So you do over the phone and you do in person.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things I do. Obviously I do the biofeedback, which basically, really quickly, it works on the premise that the body is electrical in nature. We do something called an EDR, electrodermal reactivity test, or a skin temperature stress test. We do a little test with the body. You have a head harness, ankle and wrist straps. It does work remotely as well, not as strongly, obviously, if you're in harness, because it is a quantum device. And what it can do basically in 4 minutes, it does a bit of a roll call, asking the body to give feedback of where is their stress. And so basically I can figure out in about 4 minutes where the body is stressed physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And then we can do all kinds of stuff during the session to kind of uncover what's going on in the body. So that's biofeedback. I do intuitive coaching. And I do, as I say, the HeartMath components, hypnotherapy that can also be done remotely. That's spiritual hypnotherapy. And the bioacoustics, that's really reports. It's really complex, and I'm not really focusing too much on that. I can refer folks, but that's not really my core. My core is teaching people to take charge of their own emotions and their internal being, and getting them connected directly to source so that they can feel the incredible compassion and love that is available for everybody. Because if I could bottle that and sell it, we'd all be millionaires. And I would share it. That's my passion. There's nothing better, you know, having a client that has an aha moment, and it's often tears are involved. That's when we celebrate, because they've had a breakthrough and they see things so differently. It's like it's like the lens has been cleared and they can see with fresh, clear eyes.
Do you know how much it means to people to be in the presence of somebody who holds the loving compassion while utilizing the most incredible tools that exist? I mean, people are bound to walk away with a breakthrough and a huge shift. I mean, it is such a gift. I mean, I don't even, words fall short. I should channel an alien language or a higher ET. You know what I mean? It's just, it's
Can you do that?
very abused and wronged by practitioners from their childhood, or their, you know, not abused, but wrongly drugged or not seen. I mean, you're an angel in human form. And
oh, that's very nice. But I will say this: I am not interested in having lifetime clients. What I want to do is teach my clients the tools that I know, so that they can step into their own mastery. That's my job. I'm not interested.
Clear that you're a being of
I would say that I have failed if I've had a coaching client for like a whole year. I mean, granted, they'll come back like maybe every quarter or something for a little tune-up or a chit-chat or what have you, or a little top-up, as I would say. But once I get you the tools that you need, you are off to the races, and you are empowered to step into your own mastery.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Ending on a note of like total goosebumps. What a refreshing and beautiful thing. Is there anything we weren't able to talk about? I know, you know, there's a lot about.
We didn't talk about much that we had on a list. I just want to say one thing, the importance of lifting the world. So to all of your listeners, I want to just share with them that when they judge another, what they're doing is they're concretizing them and holding them in their form, holding them the way they are. So the way that we can help lift the planet and lift shadows from the world, the darkness, is no matter what you are looking at, atrocities, the darkness that we're going to see come to light over the coming months, put your ego aside, because our egos want to judge them and damn them to hell, right? Based on what they've done, if they've hurt a child or murdered or what have you. Put that aspect aside and view the individual as if you have the eyes of the divine and bless them. Because what you bless blesses you back. It's an echo. It's like that infinity symbol, right? That's the law of action. What you put out, you get back. What you express out into life is magnified and returned to you. So when you bless someone, even though you're like, oh man, I could punch that guy out because he hurt somebody, put your ego aside and say, God bless you, or I bless you, divine, I bless you. Because remember, these people that have done these terrible things, they're literally lost in the darkness. They have forgotten who they are and who everyone is around them. And what you damn will damn you back. And it will hold us in darkness. So when you can bless someone, irrespective of what they've done, high and low and in between, and forgive them. Now, forgiving does not mean that you condone their behavior. The forgiveness is more so for you. Because remember, if you made that choice to commit that crime or take that action, and I know lots of us would say, I would never do that. But let's pretend for a second that you were lower in your consciousness and maybe made that choice in lifetimes ago. Would you not want to be forgiven now? Do you really think that you should be held, you know, held down in that choice that you made for eternity? Forgiveness is required, and that's what Christ consciousness is. It's forgiveness of everything and everyone. Because damning someone or casting them into the darkness is not going to lift the world.
Just like we were talking about.
Yeah.
With just the way we treat each other in community, the way we raise children, it makes matters worse. It does not promote growth.
Yeah. Teach with love.
Thrive. Yeah. Keep going. It's so
teach with love and compassion and forgiveness, for sure. Absolutely. None of this eye for an eye nonsense.
Right?
That doesn't work.
I agree. I really do.
Yeah. But that was it. That's it. Yeah, that would be the last thing that I would want to share. And I'm so grateful that we had a chat. I mean, I'm like you. We could chit chat for ages. So thank you very much. I hope that this has been fruitful.
Oh yeah. I'm literally there's a part of me that has to rip myself away, and it's not very easy because it's been so wonderful and so uplifting.
Oh, thank you.
And I really appreciate your time. And I will share all your details about what you do. And it's just amazing, no matter where we are right now. You know, when we remember this level of wisdom, it's like we totally got this, and we can tune into, you know, that frequency and channel that we're made of.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
Hasn't been programmed into us. The ones that you are talking about that are the destructive ones are the ones that we're taught, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And reinforced time and time and time again. And then we feel it's the only way to be, and it's not. Yeah.
Right. And that whole approval thing, and then school systems getting a good grade, and just goes on and on and on. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, yeah, exactly.
Oh, wait.
Yeah. Every time you say something, I could like respond again. So yeah, we should probably wrap it up. We've been
I know. Isn't that so funny? On. Oh my gosh. Yes. We should go on one of those trips and just like have 3 days, you know, we could film it too. No, it's been amazing. Thank you so much. Much love, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, remember who you are and what you're really made of. Much love, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.